certain point, the way your baby's presenting, we have to rush you in. And my partner at the time was like, "You going to cut her? Are you going to cut her? Is it going to leave a scar?" And I said, "Am I a belly dancer? What is the problem here?"
No, I'm vulnerable about the future of the children, the future of mine and the future of the generation of my children.
I want to have nude pictures taken. Of you? Yes,
Yeah,
but
we
without
have
showing my private parts. I want to put it in my front room. And they said, "You can't do that. People will be embarrassed when they came into your house." I said, "Well, it's my body and it's my front room."
All the things that we do, what is the purpose of it?
I just realized that I was more trusting before I was 6.
So many women, they just feel like I have to cook for my husband, I have to breastfeed my children, I have to pick them from school.
Because society expects
Then you
them
go
to.
home and you cry and you stop your career, you can't do anything, then you blame everybody. You took that choice.
Following the recommendation of police boss Usman Baba, the Police Service Commission suspends Abba Kyari, and Southwest governors propose Supreme Court for geopolitical zones. This is Plus Politics, and I am Mary Ann Nicole. The Police Service Commission has suspended Abba Kyari from office. Inspector General of Police Usman Baba recommended the suspension as a temporary measure while the police investigate Kyari's relationship with popular fraudster Raymond Abbas, popularly known as Hush Puppy. Kyari was indicted by a U.S. court as a conspirator in a $1.1 million fraudulent deal against Qatari businessman to be tried in the U.S. as requested by the American court. Kyari would have to be extradited by Nigeria or voluntarily travel to face the trial. He has, however, denied any wrongdoing. But we're going to break this down. So joining us to discuss this is Dr. Ben Okezie. He is a security analyst and, of course, a security columnist with the Sun newspaper. And we're also being joined by Mr. Ken Robinson, and he is of PANDEF. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you for having me here again. And good evening, Nigeria. Good evening, Plus TV.
Good evening. Like I said, Ben Okezie, not doctor.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Okezie, because you are a security analyst, and there's so many questions, you know, surrounding this whole indictment. The fact that a man who was one-time super cop, who everybody celebrated, all of a sudden is being, you know, entangled in this criminal case, and now the FBI is asking that he be extradited to the U.S. My first question is obviously, why do you think it took the police so long to respond? Because everybody was hoping that the police would speak up immediately that report hit Nigeria, but it took a long time, and then the police responded by suspending him. This suspension, is it a way of the police trying to separate itself from what the FBI is investigating?
No, I don't think so. I strongly believe that the police is not an institution that you stampede into taking action. When
oh, I think we're having connection issues.
News broke. Unfortunately, I don't think the police, what they did was... Hello?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
I think what they did was what they did was to put it on social media, and from social media everybody got the awareness, and being that is as it may, so police had to really study and then verify the authenticity of the report before they can start taking a decision. And then knowing that fully well that the personality that we are talking about is one that has sacrificed a lot, both for the police and for the nation. So it's not something you just start believing that such a thing has happened. So I'm sure the police took it, that time just to seriously verify and then before they took action. And the action they took has been appreciated and applauded by many. At least we have seen that there's integrity in place by the Inspector General of Police, and that they want to do all that the police ought to do. I don't think they are trying in any way to cover up Abba Kyari. Yes, Abba Kyari is like a beloved son because he has done a lot for the police, and he's gotten a lot of honors from both the president, from National Assembly, from various departments, for the type of work that he has really done by rescuing people from the den of kidnappers. So it's not that the FBI sent such a damaging report on him. It's something that will have been a shock. It's just like a father who came back from work and then saw so many people, and then they are telling him that your son was found, involved in a criminal act, which he never believed. And unfortunately, the first thing he will do is to draw the son into his house and question that son before taking any other step. And that's why we are applauding the Inspector General of Police, Baba Usman. What he has done is commendable, and that's the right step to be taken.
Mr. Robinson, you heard Mr. Kyari. I mean, we all read his explanation as to the only connection he had with the said hush puppy. What did you make of that explanation? Of course, he has also said that, he's been cleared of wrongdoing. Rather, he's saying that he has not done anything wrong. He's saying that he has no idea as to a $1.1 million. He explained about some tailoring business and some materials. But what do you make of that explanation?
The explanation is a bit wishy-washy, and I think that speaking for as spokesman of PANDEF, my personal opinions are very limited. Whatever I say would be considered that I'm speaking for PANDEF. The fact of the matter is that PANDEF believes that the position of the Police Service Commission and, of course, the Inspector General of Police is appropriate. There is commendable. They need to prove to the world that Nigeria is a serious country. We do not tolerate corrupt practices. And, of course, President Buhari had prided himself as one of his achievements, according to the government, is the fight against corruption. So this is a test case for the government and, of course, for the police, Nigeria police. And so we commend the position taken by the Police Service Commission and, of course, the Special General of Police. And we will advise Abba Kyari, since he says he's innocent, the United States judiciary system is trustworthy. There's been a lot of proven integrity about the judiciary in the United States. If he's innocent, definitely he should go there and clear himself, for not just for himself, for his family, but also for the country and the integrity of Nigerian police force. It's important that he should go by himself. He should not even wait to be sent there by the Nigerian government or extradited. He should voluntarily go to the US and clear himself of all the allegations against, because the allegations are weighty and they could not just be written off just like that by a post on social media or whatever.
Yes. Now, there have been also reactions that have trailed, the justification of the invitation by the FBI, with the Police Service Commission saying that the FBI has no right whatsoever to order an arrest of a Nigerian. And I'm wondering, what's your reaction to that? Because they seem to be saying you shouldn't, you know, the FBI shouldn't be ordering for us to extradite one of ours. And that's what the Police Service Commission had to say about that order. But you are, on the other hand, saying that if Abba Kyari is saying that he's guilt-free, then he should go there and prove his innocence. So this seems like speaking from both sides of the mouth. The police has suspended, Abba Kyari, but then they're saying that the FBI has no right.
Well, they need to understand that this is it has an international dimension. It's an international crime. It's a dent on the fight, touted fight against corruption by Mr. President and the everything about the integrity of the administration and the Nigeria police. So the Police Service Commission should not throw up those issues. The crime was committed, I believe, not in Nigeria, and so it's an international crime. And FBI I'm sure we are told, reported that there are several meetings with the Inspector General of Police, and I'm sure that all those meetings. The outcome of those meetings is what we're seeing now, the suspension of Abba Kyari. But Nigeria needs to be serious about these issues, and that the FBI has no right to be asking for someone to be sent from Nigeria is out of place, because Nigeria went to Kenya to arrest Nnamdi Kanu, and Nigeria is asking for Sunday Igboho to be extradited back to Nigeria. Okay.
Back to you, Mr. Okeze. I'm still going to push you on this issue because you are more of a security person. If the Police Service Commission is saying in one breath that the FBI has no right, they have no jurisdiction to ask for one of us to be extradited to the US, and then in the same breath have suspended the said person from office pending the investigations. Is this not some form of mixed signals?
They should.
No. I'm asking Mr. Okeze this question because I want to hear his thoughts.
Yeah, thank you very much. In as much as we see the report from the FBI as being damaging, that does not mean that we should, Nigeria should heed everything they have said. As Nigeria is a sovereign country, America is a sovereign country. This crime was, according to the report, perpetrated in Nigeria. The guy in question, Abbas, is a Nigerian. So if they arrested him in Dubai and then whisked him away to US, already Abbas lawyer had already complained on the way the FBI whisked Abbas away from Dubai when he was talking on a BBC program. What I will be saying is that if FBI truly know that what the information they have or the reports they have or the documents they have are very, very sure, let them send their men to Nigeria to come, and then Nigeria should give them a platform where they can sit down and interrogate Abba Kyari.
Why should he be interrogated? I'm sorry, hold on, sir. Why should he be? Why should he be interrogated? No. I'm curious, and I want to ask this question. Why should he be interrogated on our own terms? He committed, or he's being indicted on international crimes. International laws immediately have to apply in this instance. So why would they want to come here and interrogate him if he is needed?
The international law, yes, please. The international law also, there's a department, there's an institution in Nigeria that handles that same international law. That is the EFCC. That we are talking of money laundering. EFCC handles that, and EFCC is well recognized by the international body organizations. They contact EFCC for information for everything. So there's nothing wrong with that. Moreover, just recently, this
how trusted is the EFCC in terms of dealing with financial crimes? What is the track record of the EFCC in terms of dealing with international crimes?
We should be able to trust our EFCC because EFCC have jailed so many governors, many ministers, for corrupt practices. They are already languishing in jail right now. Just like I was saying, just recently, the same America sent their Marine, and the Marine got in touch with the Nigerian army to rescue one of the Americans that was kidnapped and brought into Nigerian soil. And the joint effort was successful, and the guy was rescued and back to US.
And so if a crime was committed in Dubai or in the Middle East, and they're being tried, why can't the Nigerian police give that support, collaborate with the US, and allow their man to be in the US, maybe supported by some officers and men, to make sure that that particular investigation goes as it should, instead of saying that the US or the FBI has no right to ask for an extradition? If we have had the US come to our soil and collaborated with our people to solve a crime, why can't we do the same? Are we saying that we do not trust the FBI? Is that what you're insinuating?
You see, the case in question has to do with a top security officer. And thank God it's
Does it mean that because he's a top police officer, he's above the law?
No, not at all.
So why are we giving him a different kind of priority?
Senator Kashamo was to be extradited, but what I'm saying is that for the fact that the case we are talking about has to do with an allegation. It's an allegation. It's still an allegation, and because it's an allegation, they should wait. Let the Nigerian police do their own internal screening of the police officer. Meanwhile, they have already taken a rightful step by suspending him. Suspension is almost like the first part of punishment, to say that they are not impressed with what they are hearing. So they have suspended him, and now they have set up a panel of a DIG in charge of CID, in charge of the highest criminal investigating team, institution, department in Nigeria, police. So, and another interesting thing, just to make sure that this thing is very, very complete. The person in charge of the case, who's going to do the interrogation, is not an Hausa man. So there's no ethnic affinity, and there's no religious affinity.
Nobody brought that. I don't think anybody brought that as a concern in any way. That is not a concern.
No, I mean, so that people will know that there's not going to be like anything like a cover-up.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, back to you.
So that anything like a cover-up. So for the fact that these things have been done, systematically and with strictness. Okay, the person in Ahmed Baba is not just a police officer that is a police officer that is very top and very strict.
All right. We'll come back to talking about the person of the IG, but we're looking at the situation here. Back to you, Mr. Ken Robinson. Now, we already know that there are a group of people who already feel like the relationship between the police and the Nigerians has been a fragile one, one that has a lot of question marks around it. And this report by the FBI has also somewhat dented that already very fragile image. How does the police even intend, or where does the police begin to deal with the issue of damage control? And how can this also bring the issue of police reforms into play?
The Nigerian police has had a bad period, and remember the NSAS protests and the panels sitting across the country and all this have been coming out of those panels and the revelations. It's damning, and it's very unfortunate that everybody thinks that we have to drive the best cars, live in the best environments, and that's the attitude by most persons. If you're a school teacher, be a school teacher. If you're a civil servant, be a civil servant and live within the means of being a civil servant. If you're a police officer, be content with the fact that you're a police officer and live with the salaries you're being paid. If that is not good enough for you, leave the police force. Go and look for something that will create legitimate means for you to make more money. And that's the problem we have in Nigeria. Everybody wants to be, hello?
Yes, go ahead. Mr. Okeze, can you please just
So the Nigerian police force has an image problem. And this is an opportunity for them to tell the world that, look, not every person in the police force, not every person in the Police Service Commission, not every Nigerian is a crook or a criminal or a thief or a 419 person or a cybercrime person. And so I disagree with my brother when he says the FBI has no business. There's a case going on in the US, and Us Poppy has been singing, and he has mentioned names. Those residents in the US have been arrested. As I said earlier, if Abakari truly says he's innocent, he should make himself available. Go there with the best lawyers. The country can provide the lawyers for him if they so love it. The police force can provide the best lawyers in the world for him. Go there and clear your name, and clear the image of the country. Restore the image of the Nigerian police force. It's important, and we shouldn't play politics with this.
Interested. Now, Hush Puppy again has alleged that he bribed Kyari to arrest one Vincent Chibuzo, a co-fraudster, dealing with money for punishment of your enemies. I mean, a lawyer of on one of the shows on PlusTvAfrica said Kyari was never clean and cited a case of Evans, the kidnapper. This is more like digging up the past against him. I want to understand, does this, because some of us think that Abba Kyari is a super cop, and that's what Mr. Okeze was saying, amazing cop. And then all of a sudden, we're hearing all kinds of things as to dirty stories that are being dug up about him. So really, when we are putting all of these things side by side, does it not make us largely lose more and more trust in the Nigerian police force, especially when Mr. Okeze is saying that, oh, we should allow the police to carry out its investigations? Can the police be sitting over itself in terms of, I mean, we have had cases where we've gone to the Police Service Commission to say, check the police. In the case of NSAS, we've said check the police in case of bribery, check the police in the case of illegal roadblocks. We haven't really seen that yield anything feasible. So why should we trust the police to sit over this case or this investigation and not allow the FBI take charge of that investigation?
You want me to respond to that?
Yes.
I do not sincerely think that the police should undertake setting up a committee to try to get the authenticity of the allegations against Abakari. This is a national, a dent on a national image, and I would have expected that perhaps the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation or the Secretary of the Government of the Federation should have made a statement on this matter. And we need a committee at that level set up by the government of Nigeria to investigate Mr. Abakari.
Why do you think that the federal government seems to be very mute on this particular issue? You know how the federal government is swift to responding to issues. I mean, just last week, the U.S. government, the U.S. Senate put a pause on our ammunition that we were trying to buy from the U.S. and some choppers. And they cited issues of human rights abuse, and immediately the federal government had put out a statement. But on this matter, this is almost day 4, and we're yet to hear anything from the federal government. Is it that they do not want to get involved?
Yeah, we're yet to hear anything from the Minister of Information. No statement from the Minister of Information. No comment. No statement from the Attorney General of the Federation. And I'm sure everybody just trying to come to realization that this is happening to us and that these things are there. But it's there in Nigeria. And the Nigeria police force needs seriously to reevaluate, re-examine itself from top to bottom, not just the ones in the streets and on the roads that collect money from passengers and drivers. But the Nigeria police force need a thorough overall re-evaluation and a complete overhaul of the police force. And the police reforms shouldn't just be peripheral, they should be total. And so we expect that the Secretary of Government of the Federation, we expect that the Minister of Justice will make statements and actually set up committees to ascertain the veracity of these allegations against Abakari. Because as I said earlier, it's a dent on our national image that a police officer that has been so celebrated could be involved in something like that, alleged to be involved in this kind of a matter. And if it is true that he was involved in this kind of a matter, then it puts the question mark on the entire police force, all the police, including the IG of police. Who knows what are the secrets that may be behind it?
There are people who seem to be saying that the government should be held responsible or accountable for this, level of corruption. The fact that he was even indicted in the first place. But should we really be laying that blame at the foot of the government, or should we be laying it at the foot of the Police Service Commission and the IGP? Just as you said, that the IG, who knows what dirt might be, dug up on him. So really, where does the blame stop right now? Because there's some buck passing right now. Is it a Nigerian problem, what we're facing right now? Should the police be looking at itself, in retrospect to see what they can change? Or should we as Nigerians begin to reevaluate ourselves as a country?
As a country, I would say that Nigerians, we need to reevaluate and in fact our value system. And I made a statement earlier. I don't know whether my system was on mute, but I was saying that if you're a civil servant.
Oh dear, I think that we're having connection problems.
Content with the fact that you're a civil servant and live in it and go and look for a legitimate business that will give you more money. If you're a police officer, for God's sake, be a police officer. And I say this with all sense of responsibility. We celebrate falsehood in Nigeria. And it's a general problem, not just Buhari's problem, not just police problem, it's a Nigeria problem. Abakari comes from a place, and we hear all the stories and all the things that he has been doing around where he comes from in Borno State. And he's celebrated beyond the police. If those reports we are getting are true, how does he get the money to do those things? Nobody asks questions before now, including police force. And it's a shame.
Interesting. Mr. Kwesi, I'd like for you to come in here again. How do you foresee the outcome of this investigation? Because, there's going to be a panel probing him. The extradition might happen, no matter how long it takes, because this is an ongoing case. But again, looking at it, the big picture in itself, should we just be blaming a tiny bit of the problem, which is an Abba Kyari? Or should we be looking at not just paying lip service to the issue of police reforms, but of course, doing it, putting some action to it, especially in terms of the welfare of these men?
Yeah, just like my fellow speaker was saying, yes, there's an endemic problem in the police. And they are not, you see, leadership comes to bear in all of this. Once you get a good leader, you find that he tries to drive the institution to where he believes that integrity and good this thing will come in. So, yes, there's a lot of corrupt practices, going on. But that notwithstanding, the police has an internal mechanism whereby they weed away many of the bad officers, which unfortunately they don't come to the public to announce these things, that this person has been retired, this person has been dismissed, this person is being prosecuted because of one crime or the other. These things are an ongoing. There is a panel always.
But why can't they let us know? Because we need to understand that people are being. Well, we know this, but these people are part of our society.
It's an institution.
I know, and I'm not arguing.
Everything that they do, they must bring to the public. it's not everything
But
they
we
do
need to.
that they must
But
be
how do we, the
involved.
people, also
There are
understand
some-
that justice
you've got
and
to also
fair
understand
play
it's
is at
security.
work? I'm sorry,
This
just
is
hold
a
on.
sec-
I'm sorry to talk
I
over
am
you.
not, I'm not standing in for them.
You
but
sound,
this is a
but you sound
security
like you're
institution.
speaking for them. And just
It's a-
hold on. I'm asking.
No, not at all.
I-
It's a security institution.
I know.
So we have to understand.
I know,
Yes.
but I'm asking,
It's
how
a
do we
security
ascertain?
institution.
I'm sorry, Mr.
You
Okeze,
don't-
if you let me
it's
speak.
not until-
Just hold on. Let me speak.
Okay.
How do we ascertain that justice is being served, especially in cases where people are being killed, people are wrongfully detained, people are shot? I mean, when we see these injustices play out in the police force that we're supposed to be looking up to enforce the laws of the land, if these things are done in the dark and in the quiet, how do we ensure that justice is being served? I mean, it's a bit too shady.
No, it's not shady. That's why the police has some numbers that they dish out to members of the public to always call relevant authorities in the police to handle some of these cases. And those who do that, they see some of the results, and I'm sure they must have been, they can attest to some of these things. But back to this, the issue we're talking about. The person that was appointed to handle this, you see, I said that when I started, I said that the allegation is very heavy, and that there's no way anybody can sweep it under the carpet. That I said also that Abba Kyari must answer to all this, apart from the statement he has issued. There's going to be more digging deep into some of the questions that had to be answered.
Okay.
So that is what that panel is going to achieve. And like I said also, that panel is some of the finest in terms of interrogation in Nigeria police. So we should expect them, we should wait for them to come out with their report. They are not going to hide the report.
Okay.
When they appointed when the IG appointed that committee, they made it open. So it's going to be an open. I don't think they will ever, hide it. And that is why I'm sure the presidency is waiting for the outcome of that. Of the
we have to go.
Committee.
We have to go. We're out of time. We have to go. Thank you very much. Ben Okeze is a security analyst and a security columnist for the Sun newspaper. And of course, Mr. Ken Robinson is of Pandem. He's the National Publicity Secretary. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being part of this conversation. We're looking forward to the outcome of the investigation. Well, thank you all for staying with us. We'll take a short break now. When we return, Southwest governors are asking for geopolitical zones to have their own Supreme Court. Is this something that we can have? We'll be right back.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
Hello and welcome. It's Nimasa This Week, the voice of maritime. Nimasa This Week is brought to you by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. Statutorily mandated to ensure that there's regulation and promotion of matters affecting our waters. NIMASA bears responsibility for search and rescue, shipping development, and ship registration.
NIMASA This Week, the voice of maritime, showing on this channel.
There has to be a decision point. The way your baby's presenting, we have to rush you in. And my partner at the time was like, "You going to Qatar? Are you going to Qatar? Is it going to leave a sky?" And I said, "Oh, am I a belly dancer? What is the problem here?"
No, I'm vulnerable about the future of the children, the future of mine and the future of the generation of my children.
I want to have nude pictures taken. Of you? Yes,
Yeah,
but
we
without
had that
showing my private parts. I want to put it in my front room. And they said, you can't do that. People will be embarrassed when they came into your house. I said, well, it's my body and it's my front room.
All the things that we do, what is the purpose of it?
I just realized that I was more trusting before I was 6.
So many women, they just feel like I have to cook for my husband, I have to breastfeed my children, I have to pick them from school.
Because society expects
Then you
them
go
to.
home and you cry and you stop your career, you can't do anything, then you blame everybody. You took that choice.
Governors in the southwest geopolitical zone have proposed decentralization of the Supreme Court in the ongoing amendments to the 1999 Constitution by the National Assembly. In the memorandum, through the Southwest Caucus in the Federal Parliament, the governors are seeking the establishment of 6 more apex courts, one in each geopolitical zones. Nigeria, as we know presently, has 1 Supreme Court sitting in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, which handles all the cases from the Court of Appeal. The proposed amendment will not only decentralize the apex court, but also legalize the authority of the Chief Justice of Nigeria over the courts in the country. Well, joining us to discuss this is Shina Fagbinro. He is a legal practitioner, and of course, Biodu Showomi, who is a political analyst. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Can you hear me? Please unmute yourselves.
Yes, thank you very much for having me.
Great. So I'm going to start with you, Shina, because you are a lawyer. This, on the surface, does really sound like a novel idea if it were to be taken up. But does this, in reality, work if the governors are proposing for it to be done, and then if the National Assembly were to take it up as a bill and push it? What good will it do for our justice system in the country?
Well, you know, it will do definitely. I mean, in terms of decentralizing the justice system and reducing the workload at the apex courts, right? We're also in a state in this country where we have seen the negative effects of over-centralization in a pluralistic society. And it all goes within the vein of strong. Before the 1963 Constitution was suspended by the military, each region had its own Supreme Court. And there was a limit to what the federal Supreme Court could adjudicate over. And I think this is the reason why it's part of the reason why the governors have proposed this, and it is in line with that. They are taking responsibility of the yearnings of the people of the South that need a bit more expression within the Nigerian Federation. The centrality of the Nigerian Federation has become stifling. It's stifling in the executive, it's stifling in the legislature, and has been stifling in the judiciary. But however, in terms of the practicality of its implementation, I would like the governors to also consider a number of other things.
Mr. Fagbemi, I'm sorry, we're having connection issues.
I'd like them to consider
we're going to have to hold on. We can't really hear you. We're having connection problems, Mr. Fagbemi, so it's difficult for us to comprehend what you're saying. So we'll come back to you when we're able to fix that. To you, Mr. Showomi, why do you think that this is stemming from? Because first, governors are asking for something that made it seem like they were looking for regional government all over again. And this is not the first time we're hearing something in this regard. But now they're talking about, zoning these courts into different regions. Why do you think that the governors are advocating for this?
Take into consideration. One is the administration of justice, and the second one is the dispensation of justice. In the first instance, it is an anomaly, for a federal system of government, to have a centralized judicial system of government, because for the size of Nigeria and its composition and cooperation, it is almost an anomaly, to have a centralized judicial system. So what the governors are trying to do now is they're looking at two issues. They've never had issues with administration of criminal justice, but the issue is about dispensation. When you have a situation where people need to go to Abuja in order to, appeal a case up to Supreme Court, it does not go well. In some cases, the cost of, accessing the Supreme Court is so prohibitive that many people tend to abandon, those cases, even when they stand a good chance of winning in court. And that is not aiding the dispensation of justice. The other factor is the fact that when you have a centralized system of government and you have a decentralized, functions in terms of the criminal justice system, where the states have exclusive preserve on some, particularly on the penal code, on some issues. And you also have the law saying clearly that there must be issue of territorial jurisdiction. So where you have issues of territorial jurisdiction, applying at the high court level, why should it be different, at the Supreme Court level? Why must a case involving, an incident that happened, for instance, in Southwest, be resolved at the Supreme Court level in Abuja? So these are some of the issues which the governors are looking at, apart from practicing true federalism. That how do you ensure quick dispensation of justice? And currently, a case in Supreme Court takes about 5 to 7 years, from what many people have said, to get resolved. That's justice delayed. We don't need that. We need a quick dispensation of justice. So it's important that the criminal justice system in Nigeria, be rethink, which is what the governors are calling for, in a way to ensure that the administration of there is the ease of administration of justice, and there is quick dispensation of justice in all matters, affecting the populace.
It also makes mention of the fact that it should empower the Attorney General of the Federation. Does this mean that the Attorney General was not empowered in the first instance, or was his position more of a ceremonial one?
Yes, we've seen the confusion from time to time. When it comes to justice, anybody presiding over dispensation of justice or his administration must be seen to be impartial in all undertaking. What we have currently is that we have two offices combined into one. That is the Office of the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice. The Minister of Justice is a political appointment made by the President of the country, who in any case is partisan. Quite often is only members of a particular party or ruling party that are appointed, as Attorney General. In the case of, as Minister for Justice, in the case of Attorney General, this should be a professional office, for a lawyer, to administer and preside over the dispensation of justice. It is the role that you can say the Director of Public Prosecution and Commissioner for Justice. There should be two different roles. You can't expect a partisan Minister of Justice, to also administer the Office of Attorney General, to preside over it. What quite often happens is you tend to have confusion. You have the Attorney General being called into question, being accused of partisanship, as we've seen in the case of the current Attorney General, Malami. At times, the role is so confusing. At what stage will it cross from your partisan belief? At what stage will it affect your professional judgment? So we've seen so many examples of this that many people point and accuse the Attorney General, and who is also the Minister of Justice, of being partial in some cases. So we really need to rethink it in a way to ensure that we can protect the office of the Attorney General of the Federation, from partisan considerations, while at the same time, make sure that the Minister of Justice, who is a political appointee, could also function in that role, as the Minister of Justice. So I think it's a very good development. We need to separate them. Many countries practicing democracy do not have them fused together like we did in Nigeria. So I think that would be a good development.
All right. Mr. Fagbero seems to be back. Let's go back to what you were saying. Mr. Fagbero, the last guest just said that, it's a great thing to be able to separate the duties of the Attorney General of the Federation and, of course, other issues, especially the fact that, he's a political appointee. But let's look at the fact that we say that we are a federal government and we are running on a unitary system of governments of sorts. And our constitution seems to be all over the place. So introducing this into the constitution, what system of government does that now amount to? Because we seem to be all over the place in terms of our system of government.
Well, it's curious. You're very correct by saying that our constitution is all over the place. It is all over the place because in the first place, it's not fit for purpose. The issue of the Attorney General and the Minister for Justice, clearly, my brother, the speaker who spoke before me, is absolutely right. I think the Attorney General's position is strictly professional. As a matter of fact, the Attorney General should have the powers to be able to institute prosecution against anyone in government without the prompting or the disturbance of the President or anyone in the executive. The Minister for Justice, on the other hand, has a responsibility to relay the government's justice agenda. And these things used to be the case. Take, for example, prior to 1966, when the 1963 Constitution was abrogated, you had the Director of Public Prosecution. And the Director of Public Prosecution was actually the apex prosecuting officer in the regions then. And he was well independent of government. He was well independent of government in power. But as I was saying before I got cut off by my the Wi-Fi thing the last time, this time around, there are certain things I would that I would hope we will see before the implementation of either having decentralized Supreme Courts or separation of the offices of the Attorney General from the Minister for Justice. For us to be truly qualified to be a federation, the states or the federating units themselves must have constitutions. That is the major and the fundamental flaw of our federation right now.
But states already have laws and edicts and acts. Or I mean, so why do they need to have a full-blown constitution?
They have laws. Yeah, I do agree. They have laws and edicts and acts. But you can't have specific written law for the federation, and then the state laws are all over the place. Okay, let them consolidate them into a law. Let them consolidate them into a constitution, because what a constitution should do should be able to define rules for the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. How the governance, that is how they are elected and how they are made accountable. For example, in the judiciary now, you have a double accountability on the side of judges. And it's part of the mess that our constitution is in. So what I mean is that when there is no federation on earth except Nigeria that has its federating units not having a constitution. When we were a true federation prior to 1966, January 15, or whenever they decided to suspend the constitution, each of the regions had its constitution. And that constitution provided for judiciary, including a supreme chief justice.
Okay.
But it also provided for relationships between the regions and the federation. But the point we are trying to drive at here, the issue of separation for justice, Minister for Justice and Attorney General, is a question of equity and justice. And
in closing, because we're running out of time, we're talking about equity and justice. Can we find it, or is this just a starting point? Is this the road to getting that equity and justice or fair play if this becomes, a bill that is passed into law?
Well, you see, development is a brick by brick. It's a building block by building block. We learn, and then we make mistakes, and then we correct them, and then we go on. Life is not static. So the point is that where we make a mistake is where we see the problem, and we are not responsive to the problem. Okay. This particular constitution that we sit on in Nigeria now is predicated on certain factors that will make us fail as a federation.
Okay.
And it will also even make us fail as a central government. So it doesn't go either here nor there. Okay. So constitutional amendments, fine. Restructuring, fine. For me, there's a lot of semantics there.
We have to go.
But the fundamental fact is that we must do something.
Okay. All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for being part of the conversation. Unfortunately, time is not our friend. Biodun Showunmi is a political analyst, and Shina Fagbenro is a legal practitioner. Thank you so much for shedding light on this issue.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all for being part of the conversation. I will see you tomorrow on Plus Politics. I am Mariana Cohn. Have a good evening.